Hi, I'm Dwayne Morton. As someone who has navigated some of life's most difficult, unlikely, and untimely circumstances, I understand what it feels like to battle those challenges alone. That's why I created ShowUp2Heal. This podcast is for the people who feel unheard, unseen, and unloved. This is where you can come and hear true stories and where man can have real conversations. But most importantly, this is a place where we're creating a community so you can feel supported. I want you to feel in this community that you are seen, heard, and loved. And if no one else has told you today, I love you. Welcome to ShowUp2Heal. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone to tune in to this very special podcast series. I do want to explain. I want to take a few minutes for this. This was birthed by a dream. This is not even, the idea didn't even come to me until Tuesday. So it's not even a week old. And so I'm so blessed to be able to find people who were able to help me create this vision in less than a week. Guests that will be on here that I could only dream to have prior. And so that's the beauty of just allowing yourself to grow and expand as much as possible. But also, part of this podcast series, the way the title is actually, I'm going to attribute it to a friend of mine that I lost a couple weeks ago. And his jersey number was 30. And so whenever I was doing this podcast series, this dream, I realized that there was 30 days in June. And then I realized that I needed 30 podcast guests. And so it just was such a great way to be able to give him a tribute. And so, man, I appreciate you for teaching me how to compete and be a mentor of mine, Katie. And so this podcast episode is going to be the podcast number 1 of Show Up to Win presents Show Up to Heal. In this series, we got 30 powerful guests. And I'm so fortunate and lucky to call this man a mentor and a friend. I'm going to bring him up as I get to read his bio. Most generations can only teach you how to market in their own generation. Brian has lived over 5 decades, and he studied each generation's marketing strategies and much of it in actual action, promoting multiple gospel stage plays, TV shows, and films. Today, he's building his masterpiece, Diamond VIP, of which he has been awarded a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for as a SAG AFTR actor, singer, and promoter. And he was there during the beta test years of Erica Nicole Malone Entertainment with his wife. As both a lead actor and guerrilla marketer, many other awards and promotions in the automotive industry, including a national award back in 2008 as the first person to be awarded a national award at the state of Kentucky's largest dealership in Sam Swope Automotive Group back in 2008. Brian has been an entrepreneur for 30 years now, so he knows a thing or two about failure, success, and endurance. He says, I figure I can either grow old and let my knowledge die or mentor. Learn more about new technologies, systems, agentic AI, and guide the world's new group of innovators. And so I welcome Brian to this podcast, and welcome to Show Up to Hill, my friend.
Thank you, sir. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this on such a short notice. But I definitely wanted to kick off this podcast with you because you helped me kick off the first one with the resilience. But you have an amazing healing story that I wanted people to share. But also, man, you're a hell of a mentor of mine, and you're a hell of a friend. And so, man, I know Mr. Melvin Turner Sr., who is both of our mentor, is just smiling down on both of us as we just expand and grow, and just not just always things about self, but things about the collective. And so, Brian, man, what the first question I want to ask today, man, is what are we doing correctly in mental health, and what do you feel like we could do better?
Wow, that's a that's a heck of a question. That's a good one. I think that I'm just going to give you my background. My background is, obviously the Christian background. A believer in what the altar is. I think 100% transparency for men. It's one of the more difficult things that we do because we don't generally have the same approach as women. Women, to me, they can just express their feelings a lot easier and their emotions. And it took me years to get to certain places. So what I think we should do is open up the conversation and make it okay for men to cry, make it okay for men to feel, make it okay for them to hurt. Yeah, all those things, like every bit of it. So I think we need to make it okay. You're still a man.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Being able to have those emotions and being able to express those, and then also be able to express those to the females and let them know that it is okay and we're still strong guys. We just have to go through stuff too. So I think
Exactly.
that's really wonderful you said that. So one of the things that I know is that you had struggled with anger, and so that was one of your mental health boundaries, challenges that you had to go through, and that was one of the things that held you back for a length of time. Can you share with the audience what your systematic approach was to that, but also the one part that I see is the most important is just awareness and just being able to grow your emotional intelligence?
For sure. So again, being a man, I'm born in 71. My dad was born in 1932. He was a Korean War vet. My mom was born in 31. A lot of my anger came from my upbringing. And I joke about it all the time, but I say, hey, if Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction and and Bernie Mac could have merged into one dude, his name would have been Willie James Roberts, right? So it wasn't get out of the bed, it was get explicative out of the bed. You know what I mean? You lazy bum. Like that was just kind of how I got it. And I didn't realize, this is me personally, okay? I didn't realize when I was buffering what I thought my father was doing to me into the world, it still was a lot. It was very toxic. It was, it just wasn't necessary for certain moments, man. And I was taking things too seriously. And to be frank with you, I used anger as a coping mechanism. So I'll just give you this real quickly. One of the reasons it really got it, well, two, that it got exposed was I had an uncle that I really admired, my Uncle Noah. He was a U.S. ambassador to Sierra Leone. I used to call it Uncle Noah's Ark when I played with Noah's Ark. I thought he was like my superhero. He was my Kobe Bryant. He was my, you know what I mean? He was my LeBron James. He was my Michael Jordan. He was all those things rolled up into one. He was a Renaissance man, and he was going to take me far away from my situation. And unfortunately, 2 months before my 16th birthday, he passed away. And then the day before my 16th birthday in 20, no, I'm sorry, forgive me, 1987, December 20th was my birthday, but my grandmother died December 19th, and she was born in 1898. And so I lost my baby and my hero at the same time. Then when I got a little bit older, at that point, that's when the anger really just started to just boil over, right? And I'm a kid playing football. I'm squatting about 650 pounds. A lot of that came at 14. And a lot of that came from abuse that I saw my sister take on in a marriage. And when I saw my sister swollen and bruised, I was 12 years old. I literally told the dude, dude, I'm going to kill you. I mean, if I ever see you on the street, I am really going to hurt you. And I really meant it from my soul because I just had one sister. She was almost 6 years older than me. And little, and I'm 6'2", and I just didn't get it. I didn't get why he wanted to fight her. He needed to come to me. And so my healing journey is so funny. I was at Sam Swope. It was 2003, May, Mother's Day. Mama had dementia. I wanted to be beside mom. We were working 4 hours in that day. I told a lady, hey, listen, I'll pay you $50 not to bring me a client. And for Mother's Day, right? And so Brenda was her name. And so she does it up until like 4:30, and we're about to leave at 5. And this guy comes in, Dr. Bruce Cupp. And I'm going to go ahead and give him a shout out. He's in Eminence, Kentucky, as a matter of fact. And I'm from Louisville, Kentucky originally, right? And so Dr. Bruce comes in, and he's a square looking guy. He's got his little Titleist hat on, and he's tall. He's a little taller than us. And so I look at her and I said, you know what, Brenda, I asked you to not bring me a client. I get that everybody else is busy, but watch me fly this guy out of this lot. And so I did every rude thing I humanly could do. I'll go into it in a documentary later that I could do to get this man off the lot. I was just being nasty. I really was, like just to give you an example, he pulls up in an old Bonneville and I said, you ain't trading that. He didn't even say anything to me. Hope you ain't trading that. And he goes, well, no, I'm keeping it. He said, by the way, I'm Dr. Bruce Cup. I said, Doctor of what driving that? Right. So that's kind of how we got started. But it ended with his compassion. And ironically, he did an emotional polarity technique on me on the lot. He said, there's something that's holding you back concerning money. He located the problem. And then later, this was the coolest thing ever. 2 years later, I find out this guy suffered with anger himself. And it just kind of, I was looking at him as Mr. Rogers, dude, the way he was taking everything and deflecting it like Bruce Lee. He's just, whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, yeah, just kind of cool about it. And you would never know. And that's one of the things I like to say to someone who is dealing with it privately. We know. You got it. It's okay. You don't have to suffer with it alone. You're not an animal, right? You're not a beast. Because that's how I used to feel. Because being able to squat 650, you definitely think you're a beast at that point. You're like, oh, okay, I can lift it. I can do anything. No, that's not okay. Not at all. I know that was long, but I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to give you time to be able to go through that because I know that's a story that really, but it also is your introduction to energy healing too. So that was another aspect of it, and to see how quickly it also changed too. So how much with your anger, how much of that helped to when you with your wife, with Erica? Because I know there's also another part, but also there's a healing part with her because she was your best friend. But so can you share a little bit with how much Erica has done for you as far as the anger?
So I met Erica in 1994, and was falling in love with her, but my mom told me not to date your boss, and we were doing a gospel play, and I respected that, right? And so she had a breakup with one of her boyfriends, and I kind of helped her through it. And then the relationship started because we're traveling, we're touring. And the funny part about my wife, okay, so knowing my personality, we are 100% opposites, right? She's completely emotional. She's, I say emotional polarity technique. She is, oh my God, she's like a Care Bear, bro. Like she cares about everything, right? And it used to frustrate me. It was like the Incredible Hulk with My Little Pony, it was the Incredible Pony, bro. Like she's coming to me. And for years I was like, she can't be real. Like this cannot be real. And I think there was times I was trying to see if I could push a button to see the real her. But really deep down in her soul, that's just who she was as a human being. So those challenges, you're talking about a lot of days, me jumping in a car and driving 100 miles away. Because I'm like, I just want to be angry. I just want to hurt somebody. It's got to happen. And she's like, you don't want to do that. Yes, I do. I really do.
Yeah. So God brought Erica into your life to lead you through that anger and to show you that how compassionate of a person you are. And I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't be crossed. Like people cross you. Like, I mean, Brian's going to handle some business, but let's be honest. Like there's a point where you have to stand your ground too.
Absolutely.
And
that's a cool fact. And I'm sorry. Yeah, you got to stand your ground, but I think we have to trust what God made us. We're still men. God made us that, right? And he wouldn't have given, what is that? Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So he wouldn't have given us that power. And I love to use lions for my Diamond VIP logo. And there's a real reason behind that. Have you ever seen the 5 female lions hunt to coordinate, right? And even though the male lion is so strong, he still backs down. And that's what I had to learn. It's okay to just back down. It's cool. It doesn't make you any less of anything. So that great power comes that greater responsibility.
Yeah, I love that. I love the National Geographic Brian. There's so many facets of you, dude. Like, but you know, the thing is what really inspires me about you is being able to take these little spots of your past and be able to make them better, but to grow, but also to expand into who you are now as a kind human being. I mean, the other thing is, it's just so he was on my podcast a year ago. His bio did not read like this. We didn't talk about your accomplishments. I mean, let's be honest. Like, we did not. There's a growth
True.
aspect to this where you are standing your ground and you're saying, "Hey, this is me. This is what I've done." And
Exactly.
same thing with you being the promoter you are. So tell me a little bit about, if you could go back, talk to little angry Brian
Yes.
at 10, 12 years old and tell him that you won a presidential award, man. Like, what would that conversation even start with? Like,
Wow.
tell little Brian, Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award is something I'm going to achieve by 52, 53 years old. I don't want to
Yeah.
age you.
52. No, 52 at that
52.
time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's crazy, dude, that you would say that because, and I don't know if you gathered that from a conversation we had or what, but when I was a child, I mean, I grew up at 7607 Baris Court. That was it was 40258 zip code in Pleasure Ridge. And it was a 700 and maybe a few square feet home. And I was in the closet, literally, right? Uh, it was a literal walk-in closet that my dad had bumped out into a bedroom. And so I had to love you in order for you to come to my house, right? Because I got this bunk bed and I have to choose how I open my drawers. Am I going to lift up the mattress, right? In order to open up my drawer, it just was what it was. And it was okay if it was just me, but if it's me inviting you over, then I got an issue with it, right? And so I think that's where some of my embarrassment came from because I came from such humble beginnings. And so I remember being on the top bunk, because that's where I would sleep if I invited you over. It's hot up there because I only got one small vent in that room. And I remember one night in particular reading the book, reading about Joseph in the Bible. And I remember hearing a voice say, "You're going to be Joseph one day." And bro, I cried. And I'll tell you why I cried, because I said, I can see people stabbing me in the back because I'm used to conflict, right? I could see jealousy. I could see, I had some of that in my family. I have a great family, but it happens, right? I can see being a favorite of someone and them giving you something of honor. But the reason I cried was I said, Lord, when am I ever going to reign? He was a governor. I'm not that important, God. I'm broke. This is me. This is the dude at 7607 Baris Court. So what I would tell that little guy is the same thing my wife told me when we experienced homelessness. She said, if you ever saw what I see in you and what God sees in you, you'll take this entire world by storm. I know you're 10 now. I know it's rough. I know you're wearing the same pair of shoes and you've had to wash them for the last 3 years. The bottoms are starting to wear out just a little bit at the toe. I mean, it is what it is. You're going to go back to school. Bro, I was a wizard on cleaning shoes. If you remember the old Nike tennis shoe, the white with the blue swoosh, bro, I could clean the heck out of that shoe. It
So,
would be
so
okay.
Brian, I mean, so the contrast was you were living in such a small area, a small
Mhm.
house, and I'm talking about square footage,
Oh, yeah.
to where you could put your complete house into like a room at your new house.
10
I
times.
mean, it,
10 times easy.
but and so that's the thing, man. Is like you have always had that in you, and you're getting to see that contrast. You got
Oh,
to see
man.
that contrast from broke, dirt poor to lifestyles of the rich and famous, but also being humble about it because you've had that right there. So I think what's really important I see a lot of synchronicities between me and you, but also with my hometown. We're both from Kentucky,
Hmm.
and we see these people in rural and like, but they're so caring. It's almost like the monks, man. Except there's a lot more
Hmm.
anger in Kentucky than
Oh yeah.
out
Oh yeah.
out in the mountains.
And
But
don't get into a U of L versus UK rivalry argument.
no, absolutely, absolutely, do not do that. And so, um, for me, to you is to see this growth and to hear about this growth and to see the prizes, the trophies, and you could care less about the achievements I ran. Like you really could. You're
No, it's
more
true.
about helping the people. So that's what you created with Diamond VIP. Can you
Hmm.
share with the people about Diamond VIP, but also explain how you also can see anger in other people and other virtues that aren't, we'll say, reverse of the opposite of virtues, and you're picking those and you're helping people realize that, like, you know
Yeah.
um, being envious is not good. Being just bold to be bold just is not good. And so can you
Hmm.
kind of share that with how you've created this group, but you're mentoring these people and working on their shadows. And
Right.
I know that a lot of people in that group don't realize that you're helping them work their shadows. Same thing as
I know.
right? It's the same
Yeah.
thing, but that's what you're doing. And then there's a money aspect that you're doing with the financial aspect of helping people be more secure. So can you please share that with the audience?
Yes. So Diamond VIP started April 5th of 2020. There was a bus driver in Detroit, Jason Hargrove, who I was praying for. I'm actually a prayer warrior. Part of that anger, what I realized is, and I used to, and you're going to laugh when I say this, but the Bible always talks about the wailing women, right? In the Bible, the prayer warriors. And normally when it talks about the men, it's more like prophetic, the prophets, all that kind of stuff, right? And I was like, I don't know if I'm either, but I'm definitely not a woman, right? So I'm like, why is it that you're giving me this? Because I've always had this bleeding heart. And that was where the anger was. There was just no in between, if you know what I'm saying. And so I had this bleeding heart. So I do something for you, and then you turn on me, and then I'm like, man, I want to punch you in the nose. You know what I mean? It's like I'm really like, it was a fight, right? And so I used to think that there was something wrong with me. And so I know that people go through those things. And so, I kind of got caught in the midst of praying for a guy 2 weeks before he passed away. And then on April 5th, 2020 was the weekend I figured out he passed away. Later, I talked to the wife, and she said he actually passed away the end of March, but they didn't report it until then, right? And so I'm like, God, what do I do now? And he said, make his name famous. What's wild is the contrast was I was supposed to be doing a live show in Love with Tyrone, and I had performed it with Robin Gibbons before, Leon Robinson from Cool Runnings and the Five Heartbeats. We were supposed to be performing it at MGM or Caesars, and we had known about this a year before, right? And so at that same time, that's when we found out the entertainment director had been let go and quit, during COVID, because that's when we had our first COVID case at one of the buffets. And most of you guys, if you've flown in recently, you realize there's not as many buffets, if at all, in Vegas anymore because of that. And so I had this thing where I was just like, God, I'm kind of hyper. What do I do now? They're telling me I can't go out. They're telling me I can't do this. And I hear, make his name famous and stop attending to Pharaoh's business. Get up and build for your people. This gives you time to turn towards the people. And I'm like, wait a minute, Pharaoh. Like, there were 10 signs. I need people to understand this. There were 10 signs that caused Pharaoh to finally say, and he still didn't relent. And that's why he died in the Red Sea. He did for a moment, just enough to free him, right? And so I started telling people, I said, listen, that means there's 10 signs coming our way. That means it's financial. That means it's going to be spiritual. The number one thing, and I have to say this because Candy Conda, who is the president of Wise Women in Sports and Entertainment, she's in my group. She lost one of her family members to a gunshot wound to the head, shot herself, 52 years old. And these are the things I started to see. And I started to see that, if a lot of this pressure happens, just like what we're dealing with now with BRICS and the war in Iraq and all that stuff, if all this pressure happens, then people are going to take their lives unless someone becomes a rescue, a life raft. And so I hear God say, I'm going to make you like Noah, except it's already raining. They can't feel the raindrops. I'm going to make you like Paul Revere, except the British are already here and they don't see the weaponry. And so I came out with an idea of people were going to have to, and it's kind of cool because when I met Dr. Lael, I realized he couldn't speak Mandarin. And so what he did was he would make people discover things as they went. And that's how he became the $500 billion man. And so for me, I kind of did the same thing. It was like, okay, here I am. I'm this high powered actor. I'm high powered in sales. I don't want to come to grandma and intimidate her. So what do I do? And I said, okay, well, I can reveal to grandma how someone can say something and make a plan. Like you have to write a business plan, right? The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. I made a plan. And then I went to perfect strangers first because God said it wouldn't be much of a test if I go find all the promoter friends I have, because all we're going to do is jam and do what we always do. And so I told them, I said, in the first 5 years, give me 5 years with me and you will know what this is. And so this evolved into, it's the Ford Motor, well, it's actually Henry Ford's model. I don't have to be the genius as long as I know how to get the genius on the phone. So I took every category. Vegas gets 45,000 conventions now, or 48, but it used to get 65,000 before COVID. And so I attend a lot of the conventions. Like I've already been to the Bitcoin conference this year, the CES, the Computer Electronics Show. I was at the licensing conference like a week ago. Peak Sports Tech Conference, the Wall Street Conference. I'm also a member of the Thought Council with Jeffrey Hazlett. He sits on Wall Street. So the information I give people is coming fresh, hot, and ready off the table from one of my experts. Even have a crypto millionaire, Nico Riley, who comes in and teaches. And so here's this program that if I really am honest about it, I should probably charge you thousands of dollars to even be a part of.
Yeah, we had that conversation. We honestly had that conversation when I was in Vegas.
Thousands of dollars to be a part of. But I still got that Kentucky small town, but there's got to be a way to do this a little bit better. And so I made it into a club. So my motto is, what if you can invest in people, just like some people invest in the New York Stock Exchange? However, your integrity will buy your way in. Your lack thereof will buy you the door, no questions asked. And I'm glad you said it the way that you did, because I had to realize my anger was the threshold point. Once I got through that and did the emotional polarity and got to the meditation and I eat well and I balance myself out with supplements and all these kinds of things, I do everything I have to do. Once I got there, then it was like my mind opened up and it was almost like the enemy was just using that, and when my mind opened up, now I can see all of this creativity, all of these things. I got to admit something. When I first started out acting with my wife, I couldn't even tap my emotions, bro. So she had to do a lot of emotional work to get me to the point where I could cry on stage, you know what I mean? And just really feel what's going on.
Right. So one of the things that with Diamond VIP and also with with mental health is that the people in there, you're seeing that their struggles, but you're also seeing the things that they do well. It's you're so good at building teams and building people infrastructure. And so I just wanted to share that. But also just for me is the way that you and Erica work together and the way that you promote Erica. And that is something that I took and I was like, I want to do that for my person. So I wanted to share that with you because as my emotional intelligence has went up, it also has let me know, hey, how my awareness is going to be when I meet my partner and those type of things. And so I wanted to just share that with you as part of this, this mental health month. I think there's so many facets of mental health that we're going to get into more and more with these other podcast guests. But I love the fact that we started with anger because I feel like most men deal with anger. And if they don't deal with anger, it's bottled up inside. And I know that was the case for me.
Yes. I had Coach McGrath at St. Denis, bro. And I think he won 700 and something games. We used to rush out on the field. He took all the little schools because it was all the schools downtown in Louisville I went to Christ the King. We only had 100 students. And so collectively, we made a crazy team. And he used to run out on the field, and we were set up. We were kind of like the mini Trinity, dude. And we wear blue and yellow. And we come out and say, he yelled, burning. We go, desire, right? Burning desire. So here I got this burning desire in me. And I took it on to high school and college. And then I released this out in the world. The world's not used to burning desire. It just isn't. Not in the way that we were given it. But there are some disciplines that I would say we learned as athletes. And there's some disciplines that I learned growing up near Fort Knox. Salute to our military, salute to 250 years of America and what that really means. And I want to speak to our military guys. There's over almost 14,000 of them that are released out into the public. And I want people to think about this. Where do these gentlemen get to serve in business with AI and things going in the direction that they're going in? Who's going to be the people who help them? They fought for our country. They're disciplined. They want to do what's right. And that's one of the cool things about Russ. I don't know if I ever introduced you to Russ, but Russ Clark is former military himself. And that's basically, I took a version of what he did and I released it into the wild. He was doing it with the military, helping them with their credit. And if you know about John Hope Bryant, the Hope Foundation, something in that world, except he was hands-on. It's not so much we want to grow it into thousands of people. We want to be hands-on. And part of my deal is I want people to know that a real dude can make it from nothing.
Right.
A real person, because that's more relatable.
So this is what's cool about this podcast series, Brian, is I'm going to have military veterans on here. I have people already. And so the synchronicity of what you're talking about is these business leaders that are coming on here and they're going to share the PTSD stuff, the stuff that they go through, but also the fact that they came home and people were not able to help. People weren't.
That's the piece.
People weren't willing to help. And I
know
they weren't
supportive.
And I know in my case, dealing with what I had to deal with, that's the part that pissed me off, was the part that I've helped all these other people with their projects and stuff. And when I actually asked for stuff, they were just like, oh no, man, you need to go get a job. And I'm like, I'm also 40 something years old where, most people are already not I'm going to the very entry point of jobs. And so I wanted to share that with you, is that this thing is going to just have layers and layers over the 30 days.
Yeah.
And so
that's a beautiful thing.
Here's the other thing, Brian, is I would love to sit there and just talk to you more and more about this, but also I wanted to be really strict with 30 minutes. And I took some time to tell this. And so I'm looking forward to sharing this at 1 Eastern. This is, being live streamed on YouTube and on LinkedIn right now. But as soon as the other social media, it'll be live streamed on there. But then as soon as I get done editing, this will be edited probably in an hour. It'll be on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And so, man, thanks so much, man. You're,
fair enough.
Like I said, for you, man, I appreciate you as a friend, as a mentor, and just showing me the way of what people can deal with, but also what you can build through that. And so, stay tuned tomorrow, same time, and I appreciate you.
Can I say this real quickly?
Yeah.
Go to www.diamondvippromotions.com. That's how you can get in touch with me. We are doing a lot. We're from that range, but also managing almost $500 million of worth of assets. So we went from nothing to something. And so if you're interested in knowing how to be mentored, I'm not going to charge you a crazy fee or anything like that. I may charge you something, but we can get into the details and talk out a plan that can work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll drop that link with the podcast episode. And sorry, I didn't give you that opportunity to say that.
No worries. All
right, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
You're welcome, man.
Have a blessed day.
Have an amazing day. See y'all tomorrow.
Take care.
Thank you for watching another episode of Show Up to Win presents ShowUp2Heal. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. Thank you.